Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks with me, Zaka Jacob. The winter session of Parliament got off to a fiery start. The Prime Minister set the tone for the session, saying that the time for doing drama is over. It is time now for delivery. Well, he was clearly referring to the opposition, which has been deflated somewhat after the Bihar election loss. With the Prime Minister now setting a very combative tone, unlike what we've seen in previous sessions, it seems clear now that the opposition is also going to rake up the SIR issue. Now, here's the thing. The SIR issue had absolutely no impact in the Bihar elections, but that is not stopping not just the Congress party, but also parties like the Trinamool Congress in West Bengal, which has stridently taken an anti-SIR position from raking this up in the parliamentary session, the winter session that is going on. But the question is fundamentally one of importance to the people of India. Is SIR the most important issue that's affecting people's lives, or is it something else? And is the opposition missing a trick? Are they falling into the trap that the Prime Minister said, as he described in his own words, don't do drama, it's time now for delivery?
ड्रामा करने के लिए जगह बहुत होती है, जिसको करना है करते रहें। यहाँ ड्रामा नहीं, डिलीवरी होनी चाहिए। नारे के लिए भी जितने नारे बुलवाने हैं, वो पूरा देश खाली पड़ा है। जहां पराजित होकर के आए वहां बोल चुके हो, जहां अभी पराजय के लिए जाने वाले हो वहां भी बोल दीजिए। लेकिन यहां तो नारे नहीं, नीति पर बल देना चाहिए और वो आपकी नियत होनी चाहिए। ये सत्र संसद देश के लिए क्या सोच रही है, विपक्ष भी अपना दायित्व निभाएं, चर्चा में ऐसे मुद्दे उठाएं, मजबूत मुद्दे उठाएं, पराजय के निराशा में से बाहर निकल करके आए। और दुर्भाग्य है कि एक आध दो दल तो ऐसे हैं कि वो पराजय भी नहीं पचा पाते। बिहार के नतीजे इतना समय हो गया है तो अब थोड़ा संभल गए होंगे, लेकिन कल जो मैं बयानबाजी सुन रहा हूं उनकी, तो उसे लगता है कि पराजय ने उनको परेशान करके रखा है। पराजय की बौखलाहट का वो मैदान नहीं बनना चाहिए और ये शीतकालीन सत्र विजय के अहंकार में भी परिवर्तित नहीं होना चाहिए।
Well, there are at least 9 bills that have been listed by the government, which the government wants to introduce during the course of this winter session. They want it deliberated, voted, and then passed. During a brief 12-minute window that happened in the 0 hour, the government introduced 3 bills today. One of them is a bill to amend the excise duty on tobacco and tobacco products, a new cess on the manufacture of pan masala, and a bill related to GST for the troubled state of Manipur. Now, the GST amendment bill for Manipur was passed amidst the din of protests, but what about the rest? Let's take a look at the track record of the last 2 sessions in 2025, the budget session and then the monsoon session. In the last session, which was the monsoon session of Parliament, less than 8% time was spent on actually deliberating on legislation, about discussing bills, about amending bills. 8% of the time of the Lok Sabha was spent in the monsoon session. The upper house was not as bad, but again, not particularly great. The time spent on discussing legislation was about 32%. The budget session, which is the previous session of Parliament before the monsoon session, the budget session saw 25% time spent on legislations in both houses, both the upper house and in the lower house. So only a quarter of the time that is actually allocated for the business of the House is actually spent on doing the business of the House. The reason why members of Parliament have been elected and sent to Parliament is to discuss and deliberate on policy, on bills, so that there can be a policy difference to people's lives. They're only spending a quarter of that time in actually improving people's lives. So there is nothing impressive about our parliamentarians' record when it comes to actually doing the business of Parliament. So then the question is, after the Prime Minister has set this very terse tone, this very combative tone ahead of the winter session, will the winter session be any different? Will it be a same washout? The entire monsoon session was a washout around the SIR issue. It went to vote. It went to the people of Bihar. the state that was affected by SIR, and the people of Bihar gave a unanimous and a resounding mandate that SIR does not matter. We are not voting on SIR. SIR is not the important issue for us. And yet, again, will we have another session of Parliament, this winter session? Will it be any different, or is the opposition going to rake up the same issue of SIR, which has now become resonant in the poll-bound states of Bengal, Tamil Nadu, etc.? Well, it doesn't seem like the opposition has pinned the blame on the centre for not letting the opposition have a voice in Parliament. In fact, let's listen into some political reactions that came in today after some of these opposition party meetings, India Alliance party meetings that happened earlier today. The same old theme you will get to hear from a large number of these opposition MPs.
These are huge issues. Let's discuss them. What is Parliament for? Let's discuss them. Let them have a discussion. It's not drama. Speaking about issues, raising issues is not drama. Drama is not allowing discussion. Drama is not having a democratic discussion about issues that matter to the public.
प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा है जी वो सही कहा कि हंगामा करने की जरूरत नहीं है, लेकिन हंगामा का कारण तो प्रधानमंत्री का दल ही.
If the Prime Minister or the BJP leadership or the one sitting at the helm of affairs in the government thinks that by raising the right questions for the people or raising people's voices is drama, then let people of the country see and answer them in the next election.
All right, I want to go across to two members of Parliament from either side of the political divide. Aparajita Sarangi is Lok Sabha Member of Parliament, National Spokesperson of the BJP. J.B. Mathur, Rajya Sabha Member of Parliament of the Congress Party. Aparajita Sarangi, the Prime Minister said ahead of the winter session beginning today that some people appear unsettled because of the Bihar poll loss. Put aside the frustration because of the defeat. Ensure sound policy and laws are passed. There is a lot of places for doing drama. There should be delivery, no drama inside Parliament. Now, my point is, the opposition MPs are all reacting in unison, saying raising people's issue is not doing drama.
Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji has shown the mirror to the people from the opposition, and he has also given a piece of advice to all of us cutting across party lines, all MPs from different political parties. He has insisted on constructive debates in the Lok Sabha and in the Rajya Sabha. So I think he has sent a very strong message to the nation we must accept and acknowledge. Now, the monsoon session of the Parliament was a complete washout. And then thereafter the Bihar elections came and these people were completely washed out from Bihar. SIR and vote chori expressions had absolutely no impact on the electorate of Bihar. I think we are all aware of this particular thing. And today, as a member of the Lok Sabha, I was sitting in the Lok Sabha when these people were indulging in all kinds of undignified behavior. And I can only say that three words came to my mind. One, disappointment. The other, discontentment. And third, anger. See, they know that they have been out of power for the past 14 years. And I think they are not able to digest this fact. And the country under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi, taking everybody along, is actually growing by leaps and bounds. They may like it or not like it, but this is the fact.
Okay.
So I think keeping in view the fact that the things are not improving for them, their strategy is failing. They are indulging in all kinds of activities of this kind, and they are disrupting the proceedings of the Parliament, which is extremely unfortunate.
So, you know,
let me say that there are...
The entire monsoon session of Parliament, I want to ask J.B. Mathur this, the entire monsoon session of Parliament was disrupted and washed out because of the SIR issue. Forget about the fact that right after the monsoon session of Parliament, you had the Bihar elections, and the Bihar election, this was the issue that the opposition raised. The people of Bihar resoundingly said SIR is not an issue that matters to us. But just look at what the people of India have to endure because of all these washouts. In the monsoon session, the Lok Sabha, it was mandated to function for 120 hours. The actual functioning of the Lok Sabha, J.B. Mathur, was just 37 hours. Not even half. In fact, it is just about half of half. The wasted hours were 83 hours. The cost, the total loss to the exchequer, to the tax-paying citizen of this country, because of the wasted 83 hours, was 124 crores, almost 125 crores. Why should the people of India suffer because you've chosen to raise issues which don't seem to matter or resonate with them? J.B. Mathur, that is to you, ma'am.
Yeah, so the answer to your question is what people resonates, we are resonating people's voice. We are not saying Parliament should not function. We are not for Parliament. Parliament should function. But what is the priority and what is most important? If the government and the ruling dispensation is reluctant to heed to what our request or demands, outrightly they are rejecting everything. So monsoon session, what was stopping them from having a discussion on SIR? Why were they not allowing? And now also why they are not allowing? Prime Minister in today's address to the media was speaking so high about India's democracy. The world is looking at India's democracy, he was saying. So when world is looking at India's democracy, this is what world is seeing. What are they seeing? 41 BLOs lost their lives in 27 days under pressure. And this SIR, especially election going states, they want SIR to be implemented when there is election happening, local body elections happening. This has been continuing. So when we are making, why is the government not agreeing to discuss a very important issue? Now when we are speaking about important issues, whether it is SIR, whether it is national security, whether it is air pollution, those are issues that matters to the people. But government want to portray and the Prime Minister want to portray it like a drama. That is not that is not drama. Drama and slogans we have been seeing for the past, since 2014 we have been hearing so many slogans, and we know where the slogans have gone.
But ma'am,
I don't want to
may I ask one question? May I ask one question on the SIR?
They are running around.
On the SIR, the Supreme Court, no less, has said that nobody can dispute the use of Aadhaar to avail welfare. But does it mean that people who hold an Aadhaar should be made a voter as well? The EC has the authority to verify entries in the voter list, cannot stop this process simply over time limitation doubts. You tried to raise it in the monsoon session of Parliament, you failed there, you went with it to the people of Bihar. The numbers are there for everybody to see. You challenged it in a court of law, went all the way to the Supreme Court. I just read out the observations of the Supreme Court. Why are you going on and on about an issue that you think the people care about when the people are telling you again and again that they don't?
SIR is clear elimination, clear.
Yes, go on. I can hear you. Go on.
SIR is a very clear elimination, targeted deletion exercise by EC upon pressure, upon direction from the ruling dispensation. We are sticking on to that. We have no hesitation in saying what is true, and we stand by that. And 65 lakhs votes were deleted before Bihar election, and that also we have raised that time. Now this, when was the last SIR happening? That was in 2002. From this kind of the period with which is happening now, so much of billion people are being eliminated. This exercise is so cumbersome, and let us not forget that Aadhaar was not there earlier. It is only upon the Supreme Court intervention Aadhaar was brought as one of the documents.
Okay.
You have such stringent things and you want people to go run around with all these things. Now take the example of Kerala. I want to speak about Kerala. I am from Kerala. We are having local body elections happening. Now when parties or candidates are going around for election campaigning, at the same timing, this like a Damocles sword, it is lying on top of everyone's head that this elimination is going to happen, and this exercise is being happening. Even in Kerala, we lost live people. The BLOs are getting depressed. They are getting treated for depression in state of Kerala. Imagine the plight. So what is the hurry? Why? And also why is the in Kerala especially? I also want to make one more point.
Why is this
Kerala
not an important?
Assembly passed a unanimous resolution against this.
Okay.
But still, unanimous. Imagine unanimous resolution passed by Kerala Assembly against this.
Why are you not allowing opposition to raise the issues that matter to the people? They are saying 41 BLOs have committed suicide or died in the last 1 month since this SIR exercise began. Why this hurry to conclude this process? Now the Election Commission has extended it by a week. You know, for example, SIR is happening in states like Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, which are voting 3 years from now. Why do you want to enumerate the rolls now? That's the question the opposition is asking. And that's the question they want to raise in Parliament. And why is the BJP, the government, not allowing them to raise these issues in Parliament?
Please allow me to draw the attention of my esteemed colleague in the Lok Sabha to the Article 324 of the Constitution of India. The Article 324 vests the superintendent's direction, control of the preparation of electoral rolls and the conduct of elections in the Election Commission of India. And the integrity of the electoral roll is fundamental to parliamentary democracy. When the Election Commission, which is an independent body, is carrying out a routine exercise, I underscore the word routine, a routine exercise with the intention of sanitizing the voter database, I think all of us should stand in unison and commend the efforts of the Election Commission. It is a mammoth exercise. It has to be done with all transparency and with a great degree of responsibility. So I think in Bihar we have seen it has been done quite well. And let me give you an example. I recall, in fact, you may be remembering, the chief electoral officers of Haryana, Karnataka and Maharashtra requested Rahul Gandhiji to provide them with the information about bogus voters. There was a time when he had been talking about bogus voters. So bogus voters, please give us the list of bogus voters. We will see our database. But he was not able to provide. So I think he was not able to qualify any of his statements with fact and substance. So I think we cannot just cry hoarse like this. We cannot create a noise like this and disrupt the proceedings of the parliament. As I told you, I reiterate, there were a complete washout in Bihar pursuant to the washing out of the monsoon session of the parliament. This is one part. And number two, I think this is our collective responsibility to ensure that the database of the voters is sanitized, is cleaned up. So I think that's a process, and this is not something which has been taken up by Prime Minister Modi's government. It is being done, and Election Commission, being an independent body, has done. Now let me come to your last question. You had put the question whether we would allow discussion. See, we have heard Kiran Rijiju today in the Rajya Sabha. Now he is the Minister of Parliamentary Affairs. Very candidly he said that we are not averse to discussing any burning issue of the day in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. The BSc will decide. The Business Advisory Committee will decide. The BSc of the Lok Sabha has currently decided that there would be allocation of 10 hours to discussion on Vande Mataram, which completes 10 hours, which is a very welcome decision. Now, as far as SIR is concerned, as far as discussion on pollution is concerned and other issues are concerned, I think the BSc is the right body to take the decision. So they will take the decision. We are absolutely open to any kind of discussion.
JB Mathur, the government is saying, the Prime Minister no less has said that you can discuss any issue of importance to the people of the country. The problem is that you are raising issues that don't seem to matter to the people of the country. Even in Bihar, you said 65 lakh have been deleted, 65 lakh have been deleted. A bulk of them were either people who passed away or those people who left Bihar for good, who emigrated out of Bihar for good. And then there was another 7.42 crore who were actual voters for whom this did not matter because their names were already in the list. So once again, the opposition is falling for the trap by raising issues which don't seem to concern with a vast majority of the electorate. Yes, JB Mathur.
Do not underestimate the power of opposition, and let me also remind what is the strength of opposition in Lok Sabha and so also Rajya Sabha. So in Lok Sabha, it is not the case as 2019 anymore. In 2024, it's a different picture. So if those many of the MPs of the opposition feels that it is an important issue, how can the government think that no, it is not important, that's not the priority? So are they not elected MPs? Are they not the voice told by those MPs are not the voice of the people? How can it be brushed aside? Are these MPs who are elected did they come from Moon or Mars or Venus? They also got elected. All of us are in the, whether it's Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, opposition MPs are all elected, and we reflect the thoughts of the people, and that is why we are here speaking on behalf of the people. Now, if the government feels that these many MPs and these many political parties, what we are saying is not the voice of the people, how can they even assume like that? It is not a small number anymore. We are in good numbers, and the difference is also not so big. Is very evident by the sitting position in the Lok Sabha.
Okay.
Also, it is very clear.
We'll
what
see how
we
this
are
plays
again
out.
Emphasizing
We
is
just
the
hope
generalistic view. 1 minute, let me complete. The generalistic view of Kiran Rijiju of saying that, oh, we are willing to debate. See, say it clearly. When we will discuss, then it's fine. This generalistic trust factor is not there with the government.
Okay.
We do not trust government. What they say, they don't do.
I just hope that it is not yet another session of Parliament that is washed out in this whole political back and forth going on between the Treasury benches and the opposition benches. Well, we'll see. I'd be happy to be corrected on that front, happy to be surprised on that front. But I would request Aparajita Sarangi to continue for our next conversation. Jabi Mathur will discontinue now. This is again a big political story, and it came just on the eve of the winter session of Parliament. The Delhi Police Economic Offences Wing has now once again decided to reopen the National Herald case. It's returned to the spotlight. The Delhi Police have now filed a fresh FIR against Congress leaders Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi, as well as other accused persons. Now, this is basis a complaint given to them or submitted to them by the Enforcement Directorate. The ED has alleged that the top leadership of the Congress party misused their political position for personal gain. This new FIR includes 6 additional names besides the Gandhis. What does this FIR say? The first FIR alleges a criminal conspiracy to engineer a fraudulent takeover of the Associated Journals Limited, AJL, which was a publisher of the National Herald newspaper. Investigators claim that the process was designed to wrest control of AJL's vast set of properties, set to be spread across prime locations in several Indian cities worth over 1,000 crores. Congress's top leadership, referred to the FIR in the party's first family, is accused of abusing their political position to facilitate this private transfer. They allegedly secured personal benefits in violation of corporate and ethical norms. The FIR also says that decisions were taken under the guise of party strategy, but ultimately resulted in private control of public assets. And the third charge is the most explosive one in the new FIR. Investigators are alleging that assets worth 2,000 crores were effectively grabbed through Young Indian, which is a company in which the Gandhis hold majority control. The FIR claims that Young Indian gained the ownership of AJL's assets by paying just a fraction of its original value.
Rahul Gandhi never cares, I am telling you. Let them put him to jail. He will never care for anything. It is not good. I also appeal to the central government. This vindictive attitude will not give you fruits. It will only demoralize your ethical values.
राहुल और प्रियंका को डराने की कोशिश ना करें। ना राहुल डर रहा है, ना प्रियंका जी डर रही हैं। कोई नहीं डरेगा इनसे, कोई नहीं दबेगा।
क्योंकि ईडी का मामला ऑलरेडी चल रहा था।
ईडी का बाप ले आओ भाई, क्या फर्क पड़ रहा है? आप ये तो आपके तोते हैं, इन्हें तोतों को कहीं भी बिठा लो, आप जहां बिठाना चाहो वहां बिठाओ, जेल में डाल दो, इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं कर पाओगे।
So what exactly is the crux of the National Herald case? Now, as per the Enforcement Directorate, Associated Journals Limited, which is the publisher of National Herald as well as other publications affiliated with the Congress party, took a loan of about 90 crores, allegedly from various shell companies. Young India owned the National Herald, and Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi had 38% shares each in Young India, which means they had majority control. They had 74-75% control of this company, Young India, which was, by the way, a Section 25 not-for-profit company. The ED then alleges that the Congress then assigned all the debt of Associated Journals to Young India with just a paid-up capital of 50 lakh rupees. The ED's probe and its FIR also reveals that Young India took over AJL and its associated properties for just 50 lakh rupees. The allegation is those properties that AJL had were worth over 1,000 crore rupees. The ED claims that the Congress wrote off the remaining 89.5 crores. The allegation is that Young India took over the assets of the defunct print media outlet in a malicious manner to gain profit and assets worth over 2,000 crores. Now, there is already an ED investigation that is going on in this case. So you may ask, why has this fresh FIR been registered by the Delhi police? According to the FIR, 3 other additional individuals, including Congress veteran and senior technocrat Sam Pitroda, who's now been named as an accused. It also lists Associated Journals Limited and Young India as accused entities, alleging that both the companies were instrumental in these transactions. Investigators have unearthed new information about a Kolkata-based shell company which allegedly acted as part of a layered financial network. A 1 crore payment from a company named Detox Merchandise to Young India is also under the scanner now. Officials are alleging that this was not a routine business transaction, but this was part of a structured financial arrangement. The FIR further says that the money provided by Detox Merchandise was eventually used in the acquisition of AJL, allegedly enabling the Gandhi family to gain indirect control of all the assets under AJL.
तो जो एसोसिएट जर्नल थे, जो चलाते थे इस कंपनी को, जो नेशनल हेरल्ड पब्लिश करती थी, उसको एक नई कंपनी बना करके यंग इंडिया लिमिटेड के माध्यम से संभवतः उसकी पूरी शेयर को खरीद दिया गया, बाद में माफ कर दिया गया। तो 50 लाख रुपए में पूरे एसोसिएट जर्नल के शेयर जो हैं वो इस नई कंपनी के पास आ गए, जिसमें सोनिया जी और राहुल गांधी के 76% शेयर थे, मेजॉरिटी शेयर, और बाकी माइनर कुछ थे स्वर्गीय ऑस्कर फर्नांडिस वगैरह के पास। इसका फायदा क्या हुआ उनको? लाभ क्या हुआ कि नेशनल हेराल्ड की जितनी बड़ी बड़ी संपत्तियां हैं, ये सभी जमीनें कांग्रेस सरकार ने दी थी, सरकारी जमीन सस्ते भाव पर, वो सारी संपत्ति के भी मालिक बन बैठे।
Aparajita Sarangi continues to be with us, Lok Sabha MP and national spokesperson of the BJP. Kapil Madan, advocate and political analyst, is now joining us. Kapil Madan, so the straightforward case that the ED is making out to be, and now the Delhi Police FIR of the Economic Offences Wing also says, the allegation against Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi is that Associated Journals Limited, which had taken a loan of 90 crores, the assets worth over 1,000 crores under AJL were transferred to Young India, which was a Section 25 not-for-profit company, on just a upfront capital of 50 lakh rupees. All of the assets of AJL were transferred to Young India at a pittance, at complete peanuts in terms of the actual value of those properties to what was the upfront paid up capital by Young India. This was done explicitly to benefit the Gandhi family, specifically Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi. How do you respond?
So Zaka, let me, respond by first saying, when you don't have an evidence, you try to create optics, and let me give you a reason why. You would recall that recently the trial court was supposed to pass an order taking whether the court takes cognizance of the National Herald PMLA complaint or not. When this is pending, after almost 10 years, the ED wakes up and ED realizes that, there is no predicate offense which will be the basis on which your PMLA complaint would stand. Now at this stage, at this belated stage, just because you want to keep the political pot boiling, you have got this registered, and this is nothing because you want to further complicate, you want to further cause procedural delays in the matter which is now being heard by the concerned PMLA Rouse Avenue Court. So this is where we are. And, again, I would like to educate your viewers that, it is the same agency that has less than 1% conviction rate. And it takes 10 long years to get this FIR register. Zaka, if you will take 10 long years, you will take at least, 5 times the, amount of time in conducting the trial.
No, but Kapil Madan, answer the merit of the case that's been made out against Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi.
Yes, thank you, Zaka. I am coming there. Now I am coming there. Again, anyone who understands the element of corporate law, the property of a company is different from the shareholders. Now the property still remains with AJL. Now what has happened is that certain shares of AJL has been bought by Young India, which is also a not-for-profit company. That means no person get any dividend, no person get any profit, and the property of AJL remains with AJL. The point I am trying to tell you is that, I've heard, many senior lawyers, from the BJP also speaking this issue, but I think because they are wearing a political hat, they will not educate your viewers that a shareholder is different The
assets are different, the shareholders are different, but the
that's
moot point
precisely-
being,
that's precisely what I
Brass
was saying.
Tacks, that for 10 years, the ED case has been lying against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. If it was such an open and shut case, the ED would have taken action against them, the court would have framed charges against them. None of this has happened. Now you've just added a second FIR by the Delhi police only to invoke further procedural delays.
A very good evening. I can only say that the complaint in this particular National Herald case against the Gandhi family had been registered in 2013-14 before Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji took the reins of the country in his hand. And thereafter, this family had gone to the Supreme Court and the High Court and in fact had begged for relief. But the court said you have to face the music and you have to go through the process. At this juncture, I can only say that the government of Prime Minister Modi believes in the fact that the law will take its course. Let the law take its course. ED is on job and ED is taking in cognizance all the dimensions of the case. Maybe it's taking some more time, but I think the law will be taking its course.
But ma'am, the whole point that the Congress is making is the law is taking too long a course.
Are open and above board.
The law is taking a 10-year long course. And if the case against Mr. Gandhi and Mrs. Sonia Gandhi were strong enough, the law wouldn't have to take such a long course.
See, as of now, you spoke and Mr. Madan spoke and we have read here and there and we are aware of the fact that things are open and above board. The matter is still pending. I understand that, but then ED has to do its job. Let's believe in the efficacy of these institutions. Let's never doubt the efficacy of these institutions. Sometimes we come out and speak against the Supreme Court, against the Election Commission of India, and now against the ED. So let them do their job. Let's have faith in and trust in the
Kapil Madan,
working of
you
these
said
institutions.
assets are different and shareholders are different and dividends don't go to a Section 25 not-for-profit company. But a lot of AJL shareholders have come out and said that they were never in the know or in the loop about this change of ownership from AJL to Young India and that they were not kept in the loop. Some have also come out and said that they were made to sign documents that then they were later informed about this transfer of ownership.
So, Zaka, again, let me tell you, how a company functions. Company has its own, meetings. They have their own, procedure where all shareholders are invited to, vote on a particular thing. And all these data forms a part of a public record. Anyone can go check the master records from the ROC website and they'll get to know that once these decisions are taken, these decisions are being ratified by a number of voters which are required to ratify this decision. That's precisely what I'm saying. Neither on facts, neither on law, ED has any basis.
No, but
to
Mr. Madan, tell me, if one of the properties that was owned by AJL was liquidated, who does the money go to? Does it not go to the shareholders of Young India? Or the majority owners of Young India? Why would it not go? Young India is controlled by, Young India controls AJL.
Now, Zaka, again, you can't have these are completely different situation. Issue of liquidation is different and issue of transfer of shares are different. Now, in this case, what has happened is that, shareholding of AJL has been bought over because AJL was in debt. And that's the reason why you have Young India who has shares. Now, in this entire transaction, nobody whom BJP accused has got any kind of monetary benefits. The properties, again I'm reiterating, the property of AJL remains with AJL. What BJP tries to do is they tries to have this narrative and optics that look, 2,000 crores of properties of AJL has been taken over by someone. I am sorry, this is false to their own knowledge. That's the castle that they have, built in the air, which does not have any foundation either in law or in fact.
All right, Kapil Madan, Aprat Sarangi, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. We'll see how the story plays out, whether or not it has, again, political resonance or whether, as the Congress is alleging, they are just bringing this up just ahead of a winter session, just to keep the political pot boiling. Talking about the political pot boiling, the SIR exercise continued to dominate proceedings in both houses of parliament. The opposition benches rose in coordinated protest. The moment the agenda was tabled, There was sloganeering, there were walkouts, there was complete ruckus. Familiar scenes played out in both houses, leading to multiple adjournments on the first day itself. The opposition has demanded for a discussion on SIR in the Rajya Sabha. A united front was witnessed there in the Rajya Sabha because remember, this issue they'd been talking about and agitating about since the previous monsoon session of Parliament. It is under the government's consideration. That was confirmed by the Parliamentary Affairs Minister Kiren Rijiju. He's asked opposition MPs to not put a condition or a timeline for discussion of SIR and electoral reforms, but not satisfied with his assurance, the opposition staged a walkout from the Rajya Sabha.
All opposition party leaders met, discussed, and we should take this SIR matter first, and otherwise we all will have to protest against this.
If you put a condition that it has to be taken up today itself, then it becomes difficult because you have to give certain space. I only added as an additional point that there were other members who raised other issues also. So it is wrong on your part to say that there is no other issue of other parties.
Well, the government has not ruled out a discussion, but it's not obligated to have a discussion on SIR. The SIR exercise is fully within the Election Commission's constitutional mandate. It has been carried out under the powers granted to the poll body to supervise and ensure free and fair elections. Parliament cannot debate or question its day-to-day functioning as the Constitution protects the Election Commission's operational independence. No union minister is permitted to answer on behalf of the Election Commission inside Parliament, since the Election Commission does not report to the government. This matter concerns the poll panel's internal processes and functioning and should not be confused with broader electoral reforms, which require legislative change and legislative debate. Meanwhile, the deaths and the suicides of these block-level officers or BLOs are coming to light from all states that are witnessing the SIR exercise right now, and that has only added further fuel to the political fire. The dates have now been extended by a week because these cases keep coming out. One such case is that of a 46-year-old booth-level officer from Uttar Pradesh, Moradabad, who allegedly died by suicide at his residence, and in his final video message, he asked his mother to take care of his kids and said that he does not know what will happen next. He said that everything has been ruined and he broke down into tears and claimed that he is responsible for his actions and no one else is to be blamed. It's being alleged that this BLO died by suicide because of increasing work pressure and work stress.
सर, ये गंभीर प्रकरण है। न जाने कितने ऑफिसर्स 22-23 officers have committed suicide under the pressure, and this government is seeking time. Even today, sir, in the morning, in Moradabad, the officer have committed suicide. How many lives they want to take? And do something which is this is not for the first time. Many times the discussion has taken place on election reform. I can quote.
Russian President Vladimir Putin arrives in New Delhi later this week for the 23rd annual India-Russia summit. This is the first time since 2021 that Putin is visiting India, and it is the first time since the beginning of the Russia-Ukraine war in 2022. The visit is expected to focus on defense, energy, trade, and global geopolitics. It also comes against the backdrop of global tensions with Trump, who's had a testy time with India when it comes to trade and tariffs. India is the only country in the world that's paying 50% tariffs. So will the test be really in this balancing act that India has to do between America and Russia? And what can India gain from Putin's big visit? I dig a little deeper. Russian President Vladimir Putin will be in New Delhi on the 4th and 5th of December for the annual India-Russia summit. This is his first visit to India since the Ukraine war began in February of 2022, after which the entire global politics around both defense and energy have changed. This meeting carries significant diplomatic and strategic weight, coming at a time when New Delhi is recalibrating its long-standing dependence on Russian military hardware. At the same time, it's also dramatically trying to reduce its energy dependence on Russia. US President Donald Trump has made no bones of the fact that he wants India to stop buying oil from Russia. He's even slapped an additional 25% secondary tariff for the same. India says the purchase of Russian oil is a sovereign economic decision and cannot be interfered with by any other third party. Over 2 days, both the Indian and Russian leaders will review cooperation across defense, nuclear energy, hydrocarbons, space, technology and trade. A key focus area is expected to be the next generation air defense systems, including Russia's S-500 platform. The Russian S-400 was used to shield India from drone attacks by Pakistan during Operation Sindoor back in the summer. India may sign for another batch of S-400s to be procured from Russia during President Putin's visit.
Potentially S-400 additional is not ruled out, but you don't expect any announcements during this meeting. The meeting will focus on the broader elements of institutional cooperation on defense between the two sides, and will try to ensure that some of these delivery delays are ended and we start getting clearer answers in terms of when some of these delayed deliveries take place.
For decades, India was overwhelmingly reliant on Moscow for its military inventory, which is part of a legacy of the Cold War. There was also the fact that the Soviet Union was willing to transfer sensitive defense technologies that Western countries were hesitant to share. However, that Russian dominance has weakened in recent years. According to the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, or SIPRI, Russia supplied over 70% of India's major conventional arms through much of the 2000s and 2010s. It peaked at 89% in 2002. There was a similar surge 10 years later in 2012 when Russia supplied 87% of India's arms imports. However, after 2014, the share of Russian weapons in the Indian defense system began to decline. It dropped to 49% in 2014, falling further to 38% in 2019. And in the latest 5-year period between 2019 and 2023, Russia's share dropped to about 36%. That's the lowest in over 60 years. India's imports from Western suppliers, particularly France, Israel, and the United States, have increased in the last few years, even as New Delhi spreads its defense basket. But at the same time, India's economic dependence on Russia has grown sharply, driven almost entirely by energy. India now buys more oil from Russia than ever before. At the start of the Ukraine war, India used to import less than 2% of its oil from Russia. After Western sanctions on Moscow, when the war started in early 2022, Russia began offering deep discounted crude oil to India. India, which is the third largest importer of oil in the world, seized upon the opportunity. This transformed India-Russia bilateral trade as imports from Russia surged, led by crude oil. At one point of time, India was importing almost 40% of its oil requirements from Russia. That has, however, dipped in the last few months. India's imports from Russia have risen sharply, particularly after 2022, climbing from 1.4% to 6.5% in 22-23, and it reached a high of nearly 9% in 23-24 and in 24-25. During the current financial year, imports stand at 8.5% or so, while exports from India to Russia remain at around just 1%.
From individual sources keep going up and down. Earlier we had a somewhat simplistic situation where if we consumed 5 million barrels a day, you had about 5 or 6 suppliers at 800,000 barrels supplying to us. Sometimes it goes up from 800,000 to a million plus, sometimes it drops to 500,000 barrels a day.
India will be mindful of how the outcomes of Putin's visit, particularly in defense and energy, are seen in Washington as well as in Europe. India is looking to conclude negotiations in the next few weeks for a bilateral trade agreement with the United States, which has imposed an additional 25% tariff on India for purchasing Russian oil. India is the only country on which this has been levied, even though China imports much more Russian oil than India does. India, as a result, has now reduced the purchase of Russian oil from over 1.8 million barrels per day in August and September of this year. India's import of Russian oil fell to around 1 million barrels, or less than that per day, in the month of November. Although both India and Russia realize that any reduction of oil will be a slow process, it's going to happen over a period of time, and that is something that Trump has also acknowledged and said that he's willing to live with. Putin's visit will be closely watched for more reasons than one. US President Donald Trump has escalated his long-running war on immigration with one of the most sweeping promises yet. He wants to permanently pause all migration from all third world countries and launch what he calls reverse migration. This, he believes, is the only cure for America's problems. The timing, though, is not accidental. This latest rant against immigrants landed just days after an Afghan national shot at 2 National Guard members very close to the White House. One of those National Guard troops has died since. So what comes next in Trump's war against immigrants? I decode. United States President Donald Trump has sharply escalated his crackdown on immigration. He had a dramatic announcement on the Thanksgiving weekend that there will be a permanent pause on migration from all third world countries. The US president's remarks came a day after 2 National Guard troops were shot in Washington, D.C. One of those troops has since died from her injuries. The shooting happened just a short distance from the White House in what was termed as an act of terror which shook the nation. An Afghan national, Rahmanullah Lakhanwal, was arrested as the primary suspect. He's an Afghan refugee who came to America under a 2021 Joe Biden-era policy, which helped repatriate Afghans who were part of the military or the paramilitary and fought against the Taliban. Lakhanwal was associated with one such paramilitary force. In announcing his immigration ban, Trump did not specify what third world exactly means. He did not name any specific countries. But the phrase third world generally refers to the global south countries that are either economically still developing or economically disadvantaged. India used to be referred to as the third world once upon a time, not anymore. Trump also said that anyone who is not a net asset to the United States or is incapable of loving America will be removed from America. Trump added that all federal benefits and subsidies to non-citizens will end, and he will denaturalize any migrant who undermines domestic tranquility. He also authorized agents to deport any foreign national who is a public charge or a security risk or is simply non-compatible with Western civilization. Earlier this year, Trump announced a ban on visas for citizens for 12 countries and restrictions for citizens of 7 more countries. After Rahmanullah Lakhanwal, a 29-year-old Afghan national, was arrested and named as the prime suspect in the shooting of 2 National Guard troop members on Wednesday, Trump called the shooting an act of terror. In an address to the media, Trump said that America must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden.
We must now re-examine every single alien who has entered our country from Afghanistan under Biden, and we must take all necessary measures to ensure the removal of any alien from any country who does not belong here or add benefit to our country. If they can't love our country, we don't want them. America will never bend and never yield in the face of terror.
Later, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, announced an indefinite, immediate suspension of all immigration requests relating to Afghan nationals. Not just that, Trump also said that he will ban immigrant visas from countries of concern, that is close to 24 countries, without specifying which those countries are. The countries for which citizens with green cards will be reviewed would be those that were there on Trump's earlier travel ban. In June, Trump had announced that foreign nationals from 19 countries would face either a full travel ban or a partial travel ban. Countries with a full ban that are in place are Afghanistan, Chad, Democratic Republic of Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Iraq, Libya, Myanmar, and Somalia, among others. But there are also legal questions at play. According to the U.S. Immigration and Nationality Act, the President of the United States may suspend the entry of immigrants for a fixed period of time or indefinitely until the President modifies or lifts that proclamation. This can, however, be challenged legally in a court of law. The Trump administration also says that it intends to re-examine all green cards held by people from those countries who are part of this travel ban list. It's not clear, though, how the process will work or whether green cards could be revoked or even cancelled. A green card is a U.S. immigration document which allows an immigrant to permanently reside and work in that country. U.S. immigration judges have the power to revoke green cards and to deport people from the country that they came from if there are serious grounds, like if they are found guilty of grievous crimes like murder or rape. But the reason why Trump is using this tragedy is purely political, because this plays well into his MAGA base, the Make America Great Again base. The ferocity of the way in which Trump has responded to this is in keeping with his long-standing views on immigration, on race, and on identity politics. Trump has often portrayed a direct link from race and identity and immigration directly to crime, national security, and economic distress. The shooting that happened right outside the White House in Washington, D.C., in which one National Guard troops died and the other is in a critical condition, and Trump's response to that shooting means that immigration will remain at the very center of American politics heading into the 2026 midterm elections. It also suits Trump politically at a time when the White House is on the defensive on issues like the rising cost of living, which cost them in the off-year elections earlier this year, or the Jeffrey Epstein files, which seems to have split the MAGA base. For Trump's MAGA base, nothing agitates them more than a Muslim immigrant terrorist who has shot at American soldiers, just like it happened this week.
This is News.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
सैल्यूट है जी, आप देश की रक्षा में जान लगा देते हैं और आप घर घर में तार लगाते हैं जी। ई बीम टेक्नोलॉजी से बनी, न जले न पिघले, सबकी रक्षा करे।
हम सरहद पर लोगों की रक्षा करते हैं और आप देश के अंदर। सैल्यूट तो बनता है जी।
अपार अनुशक्ति फायर प्रोटेक्ट वायर, अपार देश का तार।
Stay ahead with News 18. News from your city in your language. Real-time updates, in-depth analysis, and breaking news. Anytime, anywhere. Only on the News 18 app. Scan and download the News 18 app now.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनेस्टा। The all-new Hyundai Venue, take up, go beyond.
Finessa windows, beautiful and durable designs, इंस्टॉलेशन से मेंटेनेंस की लाइफ लॉन्ग कस्टमर सर्विस। आपके घर में फिनेस्टा नहीं है तो कॉल कीजिए।
फाइनर फिनेस्टा।
The government is willing to discuss.
साथियों, ये शीतकालीन सत्र ये सिर्फ कोई रिचुअल नहीं है, राष्ट्र को प्रगति की ओर तेज गति से ले जाने के जो प्रयास चल रहे हैं उसमें ऊर्जा भरने का काम ये शीतकालीन सत्र भी करेगा, ऐसा मेरा पूरा विश्वास है। भारत ने लोकतंत्र को जिया है, लोकतंत्र के उमंग और उत्साह को समय समय पर ऐसे प्रकट किया है कि लोकतंत्र के प्रति विश्वास और मजबूत होता रहता है।
The government is willing to discuss.
साथियों, ये शीतकालीन सत्र ये सिर्फ कोई रिचुअल नहीं है, राष्ट्र को प्रगति की ओर तेज गति से ले जाने के जो प्रयास चल रहे हैं उसमें ऊर्जा भरने का काम ये शीतकालीन सत्र भी करेगा, ऐसा मेरा पूरा विश्वास है। भारत ने लोकतंत्र को जिया है, लोकतंत्र के उमंग और उत्साह को समय समय पर ऐसे प्रकट किया है कि लोकतंत्र के प्रति विश्वास और मजबूत होता रहता है। गत दिनों बिहार में जो चुनाव हुए उसमें भी मतदान के जो विक्रम हुआ है वो लोकतंत्र की सबसे बड़ी ताकत है। माताओं बहनों की जो भागीदारी बढ़ रही है ये अपने आप में एक नई आशा, नया विश्वास पैदा करती है। एक तरफ लोकतंत्र की मजबूती और इस लोकतांत्रिक व्यवस्थाओं के भीतर अर्थतंत्र की मजबूती, इसको भी दुनिया बहुत बारीकी से देख रही है। भारत ने सिद्ध कर दिया है डेमोक्रेसी कैन डिलीवर। जिस गति से आज भारत की आर्थिक स्थिति नई ऊंचाइयों को प्राप्त कर रही है, विकसित भारत के लक्ष्य की ओर जाने में ये हमें नया विश्वास तो जगाती है, नई ताकत भी देती है। साथियों, ये सत्र संसद देश के लिए क्या सोच रही है, संसद देश के लिए क्या करना चाहती है, संसद देश के लिए क्या करना चाहती है, संसद देश के लिए क्या करने वाली है, संसद देश के लिए क्या करने वाली है, इन मुद्दों पर केंद्रित होनी चाहिए। विपक्ष भी अपना दायित्व निभाएं, चर्चा में ऐसे मुद्दे उठाएं, मजबूत मुद्दे उठाएं, पराजय के निराशा में से बाहर निकल करके आए। और दुर्भाग्य है कि एक आध दो दल तो ऐसे हैं कि वो पराजय भी नहीं पचा पाते।
Viewers, 10 crores of taxpayer money was flushed down the toilet today. We're back on familiar ground, staring at the prospect of fresh tamasha and histrionics designed to derail Parliament. If the first day of the last session of the year is anything to go by, expect the two houses of Parliament to be stalled for this entire session. Expect little or no debate on legislations the government is hoping to enact. And most importantly, expect no issues of importance to you, the voter, to be raised in the House, at least when it comes to the opposition. Why? Well, the answer was provided by the Prime Minister himself, who has also had a message for his opponents. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, "The opposition should also do its duty. They should raise key issues. They should come out of the disappointment of defeat." Unfortunately, a few parties are not able to digest defeat, and therefore they are doing drama. Listen in, viewers.